it's a bit like the whole Man United thing, right? I just think, like last season, Eden was always the penalty taker. If Eden was on the pitch, there was never any doubt who was taking our pens. Same when Frank was around, and even like last season, if Eden was on the pitch, you knew Willian, the second penalty taker, was going to take that pen. And the fact that there's any confusion to me always does look, it just doesn't look right to me. Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Chelsea 0, Valencia 1. Chelsea losing their opening Champions League group game. The life of a football fan, hey, like literally Saturday, we're all on cloud nine, we're all buzzing about the team and the new formation and the performances and our young players. And then literally just the way football works, a couple of days later you're brought straight back down to earth with a defeat like that. And definitely I think overall feelings about that is Chelsea really got mugged by a team that is very well drilled, very well experienced in the Champions League. Yes, they've had their problems off the pitch with the manager and all of the stuff surrounding that, but it felt like definitely they came out of a point to prove and earned their victory because they took their chance when they got it. And there's definitely a lot to unpack with this game. Interesting, starting with the team lineup. I was literally, I think, one player off, and that was Willian, who started ahead of Pulisic or Pedro. But Frank sticking with the 3-4-3 as expected, and that was good to see. And I felt that we started the game quite quickly, and I definitely think Willian is a player I want to pin out tonight as a positive. I thought he had a good game, especially in that first half. He was really driving the team forward. Anytime he got the ball, he was moving it quickly out to Azpilicueta or trying to link up with Tammy or trying to link up with Kovacic. He was definitely a driving force and driving factor in that first half when maybe some other players weren't. But really, that quick momentum and that quick start was halted a bit when Mason Mount goes down with that injury. Now, of course, where I was sitting, he goes off and you're worried about it and he looks distressed. Seeing that Frank has said that Mount is going to be checked with this injury and be scanned, and hopefully it's not too bad. But injuries, man, it literally just piles up every game. It just feels like we don't have any luck with that at the moment, and it's something that hopefully is going to change soon. And hopefully on this occasion it's just one of those where he's got a knock, he's had to come off, but actually it's not that bad, and hopefully it's just a sore one in the morning and he wakes up and he gets better and gets fit, because he's another player, a goal scoring outlet. But Pedro came on for his place. And the thing I've stressed already is Valencia really well drilled, that 4-4-2. And then in possession, when they actually got possession, because they're very much happy with a 0-0, it looked like to me, at least at points during that first half. Well drilled, well set up. And then it looked more like a 4-3-3, especially with Rodrigo, who was their best player, drifting wide, drifting to it near where I was sitting, the East Upper, like just below me. And he drift wide and started a few attacks for them. And it just felt like Valencia had those opportunities and were growing into the game. But Chelsea came strong in the end of that first half, and Willian with two really good chances. The first one was a lovely ball over by Kovacic, and unfortunately just couldn't get the shot right when Willian chested it down, but he chested it down well. And another great move, a fast move at the end of the half, with Willian forcing a save. And then you're sort of thinking it's a strong end to the half, and can we come out and continue that strong end and sort of really go at Valencia? And just like the game against Sheffield United and then a few times this season, not in terms of concentration right after the half time. It was more the case, I've seen Chelsea live in the league twice this season, both at home, and both in the second half we've just been so sloppy with possession. It felt like until the last 20 was when we started to get our possession and confidence on the ball back. But so many sloppy passes. I don't want to blame individuals here. I think collectively, Chelsea were just giving the ball away too often. That patient build-up and good build-up at times we saw in that first half completely went missing for a large majority of the second half. And that's what prompted Valencia to once again grow in confidence. They got a few set pieces. There was a few times where they had men free at the edge of our box. But luckily for us at that point, their finishing wasn't that good. But we weren't creating many chances, and Tammy was very isolated. We didn't get the ball up to him. Once again, it looked like Willian was going to be a driving force and was going to be involved if we were going to get any chances. But we just looked so sloppy to me in possession. I might be wrong on that, but that's just the way it felt, and the way it looked to me was we had no composure when we got the ball. Valencia would have a good reign of possession, but we get the ball back, and then you're thinking, just cool it down for a sec, get it to Jorginho. But usually within 2 passes we'd lose it again, and there was just no rhythm in that second half for me, and that was a real frustrating element to the game. And we've done on poor marking on a set piece. Now before this, Frank brought on Giroud. And I was thinking, is he going to take off Tammy for Sunday? No, he went 2 up front. So he takes off Zuma, shifts Dave back to that back 3, puts Pedro right wing back, and of course Tammy and Giroud up front. And you're sort of thinking, good, Frank's going for the game here, and he sort of needs to. Valencia are going to sit back, but literally, it felt like a couple of minutes after that, they get that one set piece. Rodrigo's free. It's a great ball in. He connects well with it, and it's 1-0. And you get done, and that is the Champions League. 1 second, and that's what Frank alluded to in his pre-match press conference. You literally 1 second, you get punished, and Valencia are no mugs, and they took their chance. And then from there, it was soft fouls, soft free kicks. Yes, it's frustrating that in the Champions League it appears the refs really don't like a lot of contact, but some of our players like Alonso, I'm trying to think, like Willian, like other players like that who just given fouls were silly. They were falling for them time and time again, and it just allowed Valencia to waste time, get back into their shape. And of course we have to come now to the penalty incident. So as well this season, going to games, the first time I've been in a stadium where VAR has been utilised like that, and it was very exciting actually. You know, we had that penalty, and you're sort of thinking, in the Champions League there's a chance this is going to be reviewed. Of course there's all that problem in the Premier League at the moment with this high threshold and VAR not really being used properly in my opinion. But I did feel quite confident with some of the decisions on handballs last year. I thought, if this is a strong case, I think we'll get a penalty here. And there was that real build up, and then almost like a celebration of a goal when it was given. And then Ross, who'd come on for Kovacic, runs up to take the penalty. And I'm like, okay, he's the penalty taker. That's just decided. And then it took I think it was Willian that came up, and then Tammy came up, and then Jorginho, who's our regular penalty. Well, I'd say regular penalty taker. Frank has said in his post-match interview that Ross is the main penalty taker. I'm not so sure on that because Ross isn't a starter. But fair enough, he took some pens in pre-season and he scored them. But then there was this big commotion, Valencia and the goalkeeper, they're trying to waste time, and there was this big build up to it, and then he blasts it over the bar, and it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? It's especially when you get that chance late on to get one back, and then you thought, if we get one back with the crowd on our side, we can potentially go on and win this game. But that's not like Ross. I've seen him take a lot of good penalties, and it just felt like, for whatever reason, maybe the time, the build-up, the indecision, whatever, it just went wrong, and that's not good for Ross because he hasn't had a strong start to the season. He had a good pre-season, but he struggled to find minutes under Lampard as much, and especially as midfielders like Ruben and Kante come back to fitness, he's going to find it even more difficult. And that was a real big moment for Ross to stake his claim and score an important goal and get us at least a point in that game. But he blasts it over the bar. It's a bit like the whole Man United thing, right? I just think, like last season, Edin was always the penalty taker. If Edin was on the pitch, there was never any doubt who was taking our pens. Same when Frank was around. And even like last season, if Edin was on the pitch, you knew Willian, the second penalty taker, was going to take that pen. And the fact that there's any confusion, to me, it just doesn't look right to me. I think there's got to be more. For whatever reason, I thought Dave as well didn't contribute to that scenario at all as a captain. I'm not a big fan of this whole, who's feeling like it on the day. And I'm not accusing Chelsea and Lampard and the players of that, because Ross may be the main penalty taker. To me, probably Jorginho, but it's all in hindsight, isn't it? Ross has taken some good penalties in the past, and it was a horrible penalty. He didn't even make the keeper have to make a save in that, and it just and then we lost the game. And it's a steep learning curve, isn't it? And it just once again proves no pushovers in this group, and there just isn't as experienced teams in this group. Tactically smart and savvy teams that know what they're doing and have experienced this competition and know how to get through. Valencia are very much a third team in the sense that they have, every now and then they'll get to the knockout stage, but they know how to progress through a group, and they know smaller things that maybe some of our younger players, and especially Frank now as a manager, despite the fact, of course, he was a player in the Champions League for Chelsea, it's that steep learning curve, and it really now puts pressure on the away games, especially with the likes of Ajax coming up. But that's what we're going to get this season. It feels like it's very much going to be a rollercoaster season, and we've already seen that this year. It's going to be big experience for the players like Tammy and like Mason, and for Kai tomorrow. I actually think had a good game and looked good for me once again. But it's just that frustration once again where a lack of concentration at the back and we can see the goal. 0-0 would have been in some elements frustrating, but the fact you get done like that on a set piece really is just horrible, and getting a penalty for the chance to reclaim something is also hard to take. So yeah, we move on now to Liverpool. They lost as well last night. I don't know how much comfort you can take into that, but that's going to be one of the most difficult games you're going to get this season. But it is at the Bridge. And look back to the Super Cup performance, and hopefully the likes of Rudiger, Mason is good. Maybe Kante might come back into fitness. I'm not sure, but it's going to be difficult, isn't it? But we've got to stick behind the team. I don't want to go too overboard because I'm not, as we've expressed this season, this is very much short-term pain for long-term gain in this season for me, and that's. That it's difficult to take right now, and I felt at points we had quality to win this game, and it just never came. And for whatever reason, that wasn't the case, and we need to improve. We need to get better as the season progresses. We need to take our chances, really pin down the opposition, and especially against in the Champions League compared to the Premier League or even in the Europa League last year, teams will come at you. Teams will still look to exploit you. They're not just going to sit back. Even if that was Valencia's very well-drilled setup away from home, they still have the quality in a player like Rodrigo, who's very good and plays for the Spanish national team and has broken in there, will have the quality to score goals against you in this competition. But those are my thoughts on the game against Valencia. Yeah, it's going to drown my sorrows, but back to it on Sunday for Chelsea against Liverpool. Massive game. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.